right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the September meeting of the Special Magistrate for the City of Oviedo. I'm Howard Marcy, the Special Magistrate. The one item on the agenda today is two consolidated cases. First is case CE 18-000596. Second case is CE 18-000597. Respondents are Lewis and Soila Panora. These two parcels have been consolidated because they're adjacent parcels. Who's going to be speaking to this issue today? All right, anyone who's going to be speaking today, if you'd step up to the microphone, please. All right, would you first state your full name?
Jim Orioles, Code Enforcement Officer.
Jay Higbee, Development Review Manager.
And that's J-A-Y?
J period.
J period, last name again?
Higbee, H-I-G-B-E-E.
All right.
William Panora.
William, give me the last name again.
Panora.
Panora, okay.
P-A-N-O-R-A.
All right. Gentlemen, would you raise your right hands? Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Mr. Orioles, we'll hear from you first.
Good morning, Your Honor. Jim Orioles, representing the city in consolidated cases 18-000596 and 597, commonly addressed as 262 and 282 North Central Avenue in Oviedo. This, Your Honor, is a massey hearing from your last hearing of August 23rd. I have 19 pages of evidence that I've supplied to the respondent. I'd also like to approach the bench and supply to Your Honor.
That's fine, yes. All right, Mr. Panora, you have a copy of this. All right, I'm going to receive this in evidence as the city's Exhibit 1. Go ahead, Mr. Orioles.
Your Honor, the first two documents are the property appraiser sheets showing that the ownership of both lots is still in the name of Lewis and Soila Panora. I'm sorry. The third document is the notice of right to hearing for today's hearing. The next document is an affidavit of service. We posted it, we sent it certified mail, and we sent it first-class mail, and my affidavit so states. The next documents are the finding of fact, conclusion of law and order from Your Honor on August the 23rd. And on the second page of that, second and third pages of that document, you will see that as of August 23rd, the respondents have failed to submit all informed information required for permit. You gave them until 5 p.m. on September 13th to obtain the permit, and as of this morning, the permit has not been obtained. I've included email back and forth from Mr. Higbee to the owners of the property, spelling out exactly what was needed to obtain the permit. Those are there for Your Honor's approval if you'd like to take some time to look at them. They are there.
What is it that they have not submitted that the city needs?
Mr. Higbee, you'll have to.
Yes.
Thank you. There's a few things that are required for a clearing and grading permit, including information about the materials used at the time that the grading was done. There's, when trees are removed, a tree restoration replacement plan is needed. And also in this case, the property backs up to a wetland. And previously they have submitted information about the where the wetland delineation line is that was lacking at one point. We have received that and acknowledged that, but what they still have not supplied is any clear evidence that there were no impacts on the wetland that need to be mitigated. So,
Raise that microphone a bit, Mr. Higbee.
Sure.
Sure.
so and if there were no impacts on the wetland, if that could be determined, there wouldn't be any further requirements related to the wetland. But since we don't have that determination, there's a potential need for a wetland restoration plan.
All right. What have they submitted?
They submitted something that showed where the wetland line is. That was acknowledged by the governmental agency, FDEP, and they submitted something showing where the limits of grading were on the property in the form of a survey document, and that's essentially most of what I've gotten. I got some correspondence, but the correspondence was not definitive. It didn't provide that information that I just suggested that we needed.
What exactly would be contained in a tree restoration plan? This is a little unusual. I'm not sure we know what trees were on there before because
Right.
it was heavily bushed.
Yeah.
And I'm familiar with the property. How do you go about restoring trees where you don't really know what was taken off?
Yeah. Well, it's according to Article 15 of our Land Development Code, Section 15.2, and normally we would know, and they would identify the specific trees being removed and how they're going to be mitigated by either replacement or contributions to the city tree bank. Since they've told me a few times that they don't even know what's been removed, I offered the alternative earlier this month of simply providing a restoration plan using tree species that we have in one of our landscape guides that's part of our Land Development Code, at a minimum of 12 large canopy trees per acre. That's an alternative, kind of a negotiated alternative, if you will, because they have repeatedly said they don't know what trees were removed. There are other methods we could use, such as surveying the remainder of the site and extrapolating from there what should be restored to the disturbed area, but I felt it was simpler to simply give them a number that they could work with so they could get somebody to produce that plan.
What sort of document would they have to place in your hands to satisfy you as to what their tree restoration plan is?
It would be a plan that shows where trees are going to be planted back on the site in order to meet the requirement, as well as any measures that would be necessary to plant them the right way, and the species of the trees and things like that.
Okay. On the materials used, what's required there?
So, for instance, what kind of fill did they use, if any? Was there cut? Was there fill? If there was fill material, what was it? So that our engineering department, who's also responsible for reviewing clearing and grading permits, can advise whether there's any issues with that.
Okay. And the wetlands, what sort of evidence would they have to give you to show that there was no impact on the wetlands?
An example of that would be, as they did with showing where the wetland delineation line was, they got that from the governmental agency. They got an acknowledgement that that was accurate on the survey. If that same agency said, and there were no wetland impacts from this work, we would accept that. Otherwise, they would, I believe they should seek other professional advice. If they're not going to get it from that agency, we need to receive it from somewhere so we can evaluate it.
Okay, so there's three things they're missing. A designation of the materials used, the tree restoration plans, and some evidence that the wetlands have not been impacted. Are those the only things?
Yeah, I'm looking at my list to make sure that's true. Give me 1 second, please. Yes.
All right. Okay, thank you. Mr. Oyles, do you have anything further?
Your Honor, just the pictures that I took this morning, I Your Honor is probably familiar with the site, but I took several pictures this morning. The first two were taken from the north side because the sun came up on the east, completely blinded the camera. But you can see the property. The third picture is the top of the property, which you can see the erosion that's on the quote-unquote plateau portion of the property, the flat portion. The next ones they have attempted, it looks like, to fill in some of the eroded. It looks like it's asphalt, but it's not. It's dirt. They've attempted to fill in some of the asphalt portions. They have repaired that corner of the silt fence that was taken down by the rain, but you can see the erosion that has occurred all along the silt fence and all the rest of the pictures. And there has been no effort to sod any of the property to try to control the erosion. The only reason that it has not eroded worse is because, as Your Honor knows, it has not rained as bad as it was.
Has there been any effort to even plant Bahia seed?
I'm not aware of anything, but I don't know. We had to post a lot more notice on the property because there was high growth on the, especially the front part of the property. But I'm not sure if any. I can't testify to whether it was planted or not.
All right. All right, Mr. Higbee, yes.
I'd like to make one correction to what I said earlier. I referred to FDEP, which is an agency that sometimes...
What's the name of that agency?
FDEP is the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, but sometimes they opine on wetlands or provide wetland determinations. In this case, it was not FDEP. It was the St. John's Water Management District,
Okay.
so I misspoke when
So
I
this land is within the St. John's
Yes.
jurisdiction?
Correct.
All right, Mr. Penora.
Good morning.
Good morning, and state your full name again, sir.
William Panora.
All right. Tell us what...
I just
Yeah,
wanted
Mr.
to
Bruno.
reiterate that I am actively involved. I put down the soil. I fixed the silt fence. I just want to reiterate that I'm not just taking this lightly. I really am actively involved. The little issues that we're having is St. John's River. She is a nice woman. Her name is Erica. I ask her a question, and it takes her about a week to answer. And so, what I'm noticing is that a lot of this takes time, and it's something that I can't control. People have their daily lives that they got to do, and their work. And as for the grading, I've talked to Messi, and I've talked to the lawyer, I've talked to the management. At first, they didn't understand what I was asking. As I kept calling them, trying to get an answer.
Calling whom now?
Messi. Messi is the contractors, the original
Okay.
contractors that did all of this.
Okay. All right.
They told me that, let me see what I can do. And for 10 days, I didn't hear nothing. I've kept calling them for 10 days, and I didn't hear nothing. So I decided to talk to DOT. And I looked up DOT in Oviedo, and I've talked to a gentleman named Todd Womack. And he stated to me that he was in charge of Messi and with participation of the city of Oviedo with the project. He told me he's very familiar with the corner lot, which is ours. And he's told me that he is shocked that Messi would leave a situation like this. That the owner, which is Leo Messi, he has a reputation for doing the right thing. So he informs me that he will talk to Leo Messi directly because they have a great business relationship. And that Leo most likely would provide the arborist to create the plan and to plant the trees that needs to be done, because Me, personally, I've talked to 2 arborists that have gone back to call me. The first one was Mackin, the other one was a company, Sun State Tree, something like that. Both arborists have told me that it took them a week to reply to me, and both of them have stated to me that they did not want to get involved. I explained to them the situation, and they said, well, thank you for the opportunity, but we rather not get involved. So it's not like I am just leaving this out in the air. I'm actively involved. It's just hard to find the necessary people to cooperate with me in this manner. I need an arborist to plot the print for the trees. And for St. John's, I think I need to speak to her maybe more directly, because I agree, she gives an answer, but it's more of on the vague side, and she just responded like 2 days ago about the wetland. But physically, I mean, you can see on the survey where the wetland is, and you could physically see the site, and it is not nowhere even close to the wetlands. I just need, I guess, maybe she needs to come back out there and verify herself, and maybe then she can write a more specific statement. So I just wanted to inform that we're active. Messi, the lawyer from Messi, literally called me yesterday. His name is Brian Walker, and he told me that he's gone through some things. I'm not sure, and he's told me that he wants to get in direct contact with Paul Walmick and basically finish what they started, which was to leave the property as was or not better state. And so the ball is rolling for this. It just takes time. I did not realize how long this would take, but now I realize that this was not a week process or a month process. We're already hitting a couple of months now. I understand, but I think very soon we'll be finished with everything that we needed to do. And I mean, the property has been sitting there for years, and my father doesn't know what he wants to do with it. So my job is to just finish this, and it's just going to stay dormant for another couple of years.
When did you first contact St. John's?
When we first started.
Okay.
What originally they wanted to see a survey, which I had to contact the surveyor, which was Land Tech. The survey took weeks to create. I mean, again, it's out of my reach. These are things that I am not in control of. And when we finally got the survey, St. John's was not satisfied with the survey. They asked for another something else to add onto the survey. And I had to take it back to Land Tech. Land Tech knows what they needed to do, but it took another week or so for them to do it. Take that back to St. John's. So the process is timely. It really is. And nobody can really tell me everything. As soon as I hit one thing, something else appears. And so, had people been more specific to exactly what needed to be on the survey, maybe it would have helped. Just saying.
So right now, what have you done to the property other than putting some dirt in some of the eroded gullies?
I put the seed. We put seed all the time. It is growing. I understand that we're going to put sod, but I rather put it once we have this situated, because sod is sod. I can't guarantee that it's going to boom and it's going to bloom and grow very nicely. I mean, honestly, it might die, So I want to do the sod, but as soon as this is situated, like you said, as soon as I get the permit, maybe a couple weeks to do the actual work. I'm doing the work now because I just want to show that I'm actively involved. But as soon as the permit is completed, I will do the sod, and we're filling in the erosion with dirt, soil, whatever they sell in Home Depot.
All right. I have a question for Mr. Higbee or Mr. Orioles. Could they go forward with the sodding and the seeding without the permit?
From a code enforcement standpoint, absolutely. Our concern with the property, as Mr. Penora said, has been dormant for years. It has not been dormant in that state for years. The state that it's in now, the soil is not stable, and every time it rains, it erodes worse. And I saw that he did put some soil in there. However, it was probably less than a wheelbarrow full. And if we get these torrential rains again, that property it's going to continue to erode. That rear, I'm going to say third, and I could be wrong about that, but it approximates about the rear third of the property has been elevated greatly, and it's not stable, whereas the property was stable before it was filled in. So from our standpoint, I'm not answering for Mr. Higbee, but just from a code enforcement aspect, we would like to see it sodded and seeded and that portion of stable until the permit is issued.
No, but there's nothing to prevent them, is there, Mr. Higbee, from going ahead with the sod and seeding?
This is an issue that I think relates to stabilizing the site, right? And that's an issue where in the review of the clearing and grading permit, I work with the engineering department who would oversee things like erosion control and stabilizing the soils and so forth. So that's a question I would have bounced against them had I had the opportunity. It doesn't strike me as problematic, but what goes through my head is if they put it in before the permit's complete and then the permit requires something to change, then they may have to remove some of it ultimately.
Okay. What isn't the summer season when you want to plant sod? We're getting into a drier season now. What does that do to survivability of sod?
Actually, if you talk to the sod contractors, the fall and winter is the best part to plant sod because it's not going to burn up.
Okay.
The intense heat is not going to get to the sod. It will not spread as it will during the spring. However, it won't burn up like it will during the summer.
Okay. All right. Mr. Higbee, do you have anything else? No. Or Mr. Penora, you have anything else?
No, I'm willing to do what it takes to get this situated.
Well, Mr. Penora, it's a dilemma. Right now, even before the hearing in June 28, I think there had been a continuance of this matter. So this dates back to probably May, at least to May. On June 28, I gave you 30 days to obtain a permit. It's now, and in that order, I said that you had a deadline of July 28th to do that. That was 30 days. You missed the July 28th date. Now it's been, since July 28, it's been 61 days. And I understand very well how hard it is to deal with St. John's. I've been there myself. But it seems there are some things that could have been done other than putting a little dirt out there to at least begin addressing the problem. It's difficult for me to understand why in 91 days you've not contacted an arborist, or at least gotten something from an arborist, some sort of plan or from an arborist. I mean, it's not just been 61 days, it's been 91 days. Yes, sir, go ahead.
I was not told to get an arborist until recently.
Yeah.
And this is part of the situation that I was saying earlier. I'm not told to do these things until I do something else. These are steps to getting the permit. I was not told to get an arborist until our recent meeting here, which was about a month ago. I was told maybe 3 weeks ago, I have the email of when I was told to get the arborist, and it will state the date on there. So that being said, I've only had about 3 weeks to get an arborist, and within those 3 weeks, arborists have not contacted me until recently just to tell me they don't want to be involved. And I have pictures as well. I know that the gentleman took pictures this morning, but I have pictures as well. Can I show you?
While you're looking for that, Mr. Higbee, a question for you, maybe Mr. Orioles. In my June 28 order, I provided respondents are hereby ordered to obtain from the city within 30 days of this order a grading and clearing permit. Typically, when someone applies for a grading and clearing permit, do you require a tree restoration plan at that time?
Yes, if trees have been removed, we want that incorporated
Okay.
in order to be able to approve the permit.
All right. All right. Have you found what you're looking for? Thank you, Mr. Higbee.
Well, originally I was told to do an engineer site about why I cleared it, and there's a huge miscommunication. I was told by St. John's River and by maybe the City of Oviedo Council, the lady, I don't remember her name, to create a engineer site of a plaza. That's why it was cleared. And again, that was money spent on an engineering site about a plaza, which I have no intention in creating. But to fix this situation, I paid an engineer to create a plaza. And what they told me was the specs on this plaza are nowhere close to what is needed. And I agree. I'm not trying to create a plaza. I am not a land developer. And so what I've talked to Mr. Higbee a couple of days ago was that since I am not creating a plaza, you have to create a restoration plan. That makes 100% more sense to me. Why would I pretend that I cleared this to create a plaza? Why? The reality of it is that Messi did this, and I'm just trying to fix it. And a restoration plan is basically what we're discussing here now. When we first started this 90 days ago, like you say, it was my reasoning for clearing it. And I've been told by St. John's and by the City of Oviedo, well, if you're cleared, it's because you're going to create a plaza and show us in detail this plaza and we were moving forward with that idea, which now in hindsight doesn't even make sense. And what I want, can I show you a photo?
Sure.
What I want to show you is this photo. This is what I took yesterday. It's growing. You know, yes, I understand that there's gas, which that's where the sod will come in for sure. But I just want to make sure that, because the photos over there are like that, which, as you can see, it's growing. The seeds are growing. I'm willing to plant more seeds. I'm willing to do the sod. If you request to do the sod now, I can make it happen. I'm just ready to just move forward.
All right. All right, Mr. Orioles.
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to point out that this problem is of Mr. Penor's making. he likes to use the Massey, and that Mr. Penora presented to Your Honor a contract that was drawn up by his father and a real estate agent, that where Massey agreed that they were to use the property to store their equipment while they widened for DOT, and as they were done, they would clear the rest of the property. And this was for gain for Mr. Penora. This was to his advantage. This was something he did knowingly, that he wanted to get the property cleared. Now, for what reason, I don't know. But the property was cleared, it was regraded, and it was unstabilized in the back. That was from his own handing of that contract to Your Honor. We have, we feel for him, but what he's trying to do, this is very comparable to having a dump truck dump a taken apart car in his front yard, and Mr. Penora is trying to put that car together. And he's really not capable, and he's trying to call different people to find out, well, what part goes with what part, and what part goes with what part. If he were to take it to a mechanic, it would already be together and running. But he doesn't want to spend the money to go to a licensed professional who could do this whole job for him and come within Your Honor's timelines. It's a matter of not wanting to spend the money. And it's not a problem that city caused, it's not a problem that Massey caused, it's not a problem DOT caused, it's a problem that Mr. Penora caused himself.
All right. Mr. Penora, you have anything further?
Yes, I do. Massey came up to us. We did not request for this. We did not ask for this. Massey requested this from us. The contract was presented to us from Massey. The realtor was a witness. He was not creating the contract. This is a Massey contract, and that's why I contacted Massey. And the owner of Massey now states that he's willing to get involved and help. This is not something that I asked for, that we created. We were doing a favor for the construction of these streets, along with the City of Oviedo, along with DOT, and along with Massey Construction. Again, I doubt it, because it's been dormant for years. I don't know what gain this would help us with, We are just trying to situate this. We're trying to fix this. I have the agreement here.
Yes, let me see that again. I remember the contract.
Do you see number 7?
Yes, that's right. All right. Anyone else have anything further? All right. I do think 90 days has been more than sufficient to get something done on this, more than where we are today. As I read the contract between Massey and the Penoras, there's no question in my mind but that the Penoras were to receive a benefit as a result of that contract, and that was the clearing of the land for whatever reason I do not know. It's also clear to me from that contract that Massey has an obligation to stabilize that property. So I think the Penoras really need to look to Massey to fulfill their obligations under that agreement. But that is not an excuse for not getting this thing done. I've granted a couple of extensions before, and I don't see that we're really any further along today than we were when we did those. And all things must come to an end sooner or later. I don't think if I granted an extension today that we'd be any further along in 30 days than we are now. Mr. Penora, I'll give you one more chance. You raised your hand. Say what you want to say, then I'm going to give my ruling.
So we're very close. We're very close. All we need is the restoration plan, St. John's River Company to just comply and visually see that it's not there, that we did not touch the wetlands. The restoration plan can be drawn up. We need an arborist. I'm still searching for one. If Massey wants to comply, they'll do their job and get the arborist and get the print. If they don't want to comply, I'm still moving forward to looking for the arborist actively. Like I said earlier, 3 weeks I was given to look for an arborist. I need a little bit more time. All we need is an arborist with a blueprint and plant trees and sod. This is, it's so clear to me now what needs to be done. At first, you're right. I couldn't comprehend. I don't have the money to hire a firm. I do not have the money to hire, regardless of what anybody thinks. To hire a firm to do this exact job, it's ludicrous to me because I'd go bankrupt just thinking about the firm, you know? And I've talked to one environmentalist, $3,000 to just talk and create a plan. That's just a start. We are close. We're very close. An arborist, and I believe that in the extension of this, we will finish everything within the next couple of weeks, days probably. All I need is the print and St. John's, and you know, it was only 3 specific things that we needed, and we're very close to getting them. St. John's, she just replied yesterday. You know, it was not exactly what he needed, but we're almost there. I need to talk to her, like, physically, and maybe I need to take her out to the property physically, and then she'll reply what she needs. And then as for the arborist, I'll find one. There's many. It's Florida, you know.
How many arborists have you contacted?
I contacted 4. Only 2 reached back. Both of them, after 1 week, told me they don't want to get involved. Doesn't mean I cannot stop. I can look for more. I can find more. Arborist, it's a job like any other job. You know, somebody will decide, hey, you know what? I'll create this print for you. You know, we're in a booming economy. Maybe they're busy. I don't know what the answer is, but I know that I can find somebody given some time. I'm very close, and I know exactly what I'm doing now. At first, I didn't understand what was happening with the survey, with the engineer plans, with the plaza. I didn't get it. Now it's clear as day to me.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Mr. Panora, I'm sympathetic, but really and truly, if I thought in 30 days things would be any further along than they are right now, I don't see that happening. So I am going to impose a fine. There's been 61 days since July 28. That was the deadline for solving this problem, at least applying for a permit, getting a permit. Still, there is no permit. I'm going to impose a fine of $50 per day per parcel. That's a total fine of $3,050 per parcel. And I think it's important to understand, Mr. Panora, that fine, $3,050 per parcel, must be paid within 30 days. That would be by midnight of October 30th. If it's not paid by that time, then my order would be recorded in the public records of Seminole County and would constitute a lien not only on this property but all the other properties owned by Mr. and Mrs. Panora. It's also important for you to know that commencing today, a fine of $50 a day per parcel continues to accrue until you come into compliance with the prior orders. So the total fine today would be $6,100 payable by October 30th. And starting today, the fines still continue to accrue at $100 a day for the 2 parcels. I've been very reluctant to do that in this case, but I suggest that you put Massey on notice that they have some obligations, but that doesn't relieve you of your obligations to the city. So that is my ruling. I'll enter an order accordingly, and that written order will be mailed to you, sir. Anything else to come before us today? Mr. Panora?
Sir, with all due respect, I do not have that money. And I don't have enough $3,000 to meet an engineering firm. What makes you think I have $6,000 to pay in the next couple of days? You know, all I'm asking, and I'm pleading and I'm begging, I just need one more extension for the restoration plan and for St. John's to just write in a simple email that it does not touch the wetlands. This does not make sense to me. You know, we are so close, and I'm just asking for 30 more days. That's probably all I need to get this restoration plan. And to plant trees, to plant a tree the way it properly should be planted will take 1 day. If it's just 12 trees, like the gentleman says, we could make that happen in 1 day. I just need the plan. I need somebody to just help me with the plan, which I will spend all day and all night looking for the right arborist to get it done. We're so close. This doesn't feel like justice to me. I just need one more extension of 1 more 30 days. And the original, last time we were here, you said until October 16th that I had to finish the permit and the physical side of it. And now you're telling me that it's all said and done on September 29th.
You have not done the necessary to obtain the permit, Mr.
I know,
Bernard.
but we are so close. I mean, at least to the 16th. You know, I think I could get something done in 2 weeks. I really do. We're so close, sir. We're so close. You originally stated October 16th. At least give me to October 16th. That's all I ask. Give me to what you originally said, October 16th, to have it all said and done. I beg for that.
City, Mr. Orioles, what's the city's position? Realizing, you know, my goal always is to get compliance, and I know that's your rule.
Yes, sir.
But, you know, I really hate to come back here October hearing and go through the same thing again. But
The city
if the city's willing to give them to October 16th to finish it, I will agree.
The city is satisfied with your ruling, sir. If you want to extend it, that's within your domain. The city, however, was satisfied with your ruling.
Okay. Then my ruling is going to stand. Sooner or later, all things have to end. And maybe this will give a little more urgency to getting it resolved. All right? This is at an end. Any other items to come before the magistrate today? All right? We are adjourned. Thank you.